Smart English Podcast.
Let's talk about everything.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Smart English Podcast, where we practice natural English conversations together. And today, we are starting a really interesting and sometimes funny topic because we are going to talk about something very personal, which is describing our personalities.
Hello, everyone. I am Brian, and I am very excited about today's topic because talking about personality is a great way to learn new vocabulary and also understand people better. And sometimes we even discover new things about ourselves while having these conversations.
That is very true. And by the way, I am Jessica. And in this episode, we are going to talk about how to describe your personality in English, how to talk about your strengths and habits, and maybe even laugh a little about some of our funny personality traits.
Yes, because when people describe themselves, they usually say very nice things, like I am hardworking, I am friendly, I am organized. But sometimes the truth is a little more complicated.
Exactly, because someone might say they are organized, but if you look at their desk, it looks like a small paper tornado passed through the room.
That reminds me of my desk sometimes, which I like to call creative organization, even though other people might call it complete chaos.
Creative organization is a very polite way to describe it.
Thank you. I try my best to sound professional.
So, Brian, when someone asks you to describe your personality, what are the first words that come to your mind?
That is actually a good question. And I usually say that I am curious, relaxed, and sometimes a little forgetful, especially when I have too many things in my mind at the same time.
The forgetful part sounds very honest, and honesty is also a personality trait.
Yes, and my friends would definitely confirm that I sometimes forget small things, like where I left my keys, or what I walked into the kitchen to do.
That happens to me too, and sometimes I open the refrigerator, look inside for a few seconds, and then suddenly realize that I completely forgot why I went there in the first place.
That is such a universal experience, and I think our brains are still waking up when those moments happen.
When we talk about personality in English, people often use words like friendly, shy, confident, creative, patient, or hardworking, and these words help us describe how we usually behave in daily life.
Encouraging tone. Yes, and it is also useful to explain your personality with examples, because instead of just saying, I am patient, you can say something like, I am patient because I enjoy helping people learn and I do not get frustrated easily.
Agreeing warmly. That makes the description much clearer and more natural, and it also helps the listener understand you better.
Jessica, how would you describe your personality if someone asked you that question in a job interview or even in a casual conversation?
Thinking and relaxed. I would probably say that I am optimistic, curious, and sometimes a little bit of a perfectionist because I like things to be done well, although sometimes that means I spend too much time on small details.
Yes, the famous perfectionist problem, where you spend 10 minutes adjusting something that most people would never even notice.
Exactly. And then later you realize that nobody else saw the difference.
But perfectionists help make the world look a little nicer, so we appreciate that.
Friendly. Thank you. I will accept that compliment.
Thoughtful. Another interesting thing about personality is that people can be very different in social situations, because some people feel very comfortable talking with strangers, while others need more time to open up.
Calm and reflective. That is true. And neither personality type is better than the other, because introverted people can be very thoughtful and great listeners, while extroverted people often bring energy and excitement to conversations.
I think I'm somewhere in the middle, because sometimes I enjoy social events, but other times I am very happy staying home with a cup of coffee and a good movie.
That sounds like a balanced personality.
Curious. What about our listeners? Because everyone listening right now probably has a unique personality with different strengths and habits.
Encouraging. Yes, and this is a good moment for our listeners to practice speaking English by describing themselves out loud, even if they are just speaking to themselves or practicing with a friend.
Supportive. You can try saying something like, I am a calm and friendly person, and I enjoy helping others. Or, I am creative and curious, and I love learning new things.
Smiling tone. And remember that personality is not just one word, because people are complex and interesting, and we all have many different traits.
For example, someone can be both organized and messy at the same time, depending on the situation.
That sounds like a personality mystery.
Yes, the mystery of the organized mess.
Cheerful. We will talk more about personality traits, funny habits people have, and maybe some surprising personality differences between friends and coworkers.
And we will also share some funny stories about how our personalities sometimes create interesting situations in everyday life.
Brian, in the last part, we talked about general personality traits, but I think the most interesting moments happen when our personalities appear in everyday situations, because that is when people truly see who we are.
That is very true, because someone might say they are calm and patient, but if they are stuck in traffic for 40 minutes, we can suddenly see a completely different personality.
Yes, traffic is like a personality test that nobody wants to take.
Exactly. And I once saw a person talking very politely on the phone while also shouting at the traffic at the same time, which was a very confusing personality combination.
That sounds like someone trying very hard to stay calm while slowly losing patience.
I think we all have moments like that, because personality is not always perfect and balanced every second of the day.
That is actually an important point, because personality is not only about our good traits, like being kind or hardworking, but also about our weaknesses and funny habits.
Jessica, what would you say is one funny or unusual personality habit that you have?
Well, I have a habit of talking to myself when I am trying to solve a problem, and sometimes I don't even realize I'm doing it until someone looks at me strangely.
That is actually very relatable, because sometimes when we speak our thoughts out loud, it helps our brain organize the ideas.
Yes, but it becomes a little embarrassing when someone walks into the room and thinks you are having a serious conversation with the wall.
Maybe the wall gives very good advice.
If the wall starts answering, then I might be a little worried.
That would definitely change the conversation.
What about you, Brian? Do you have any personality habits that your friends always notice?
Yes, my friends always say that I am very curious, which sounds positive, but sometimes it means I ask too many questions about everything.
That can actually be a good thing, because curious people often learn faster and discover interesting things.
That is true, but sometimes my friends say, Brian, please stop asking questions and just enjoy the movie.
That means you are analyzing the story instead of relaxing.
Exactly, because I start wondering why the character made a certain decision or what will happen next.
That sounds like a very active mind.
Yes, sometimes my brain works like a detective even when I just want to watch a simple comedy movie.
Another interesting personality difference is how people react in social situations, because some people immediately start conversations with strangers, while others prefer to listen quietly.
I have noticed that too, and I think both styles are valuable, because talkative people help start conversations, while quieter people often notice details that others miss.
Yes, and good conversations usually happen when different personalities work together naturally.
That reminds me of a party I attended once, where one person talked almost the entire evening, while another person only said 3 sentences. But those 3 sentences were so funny that everyone remembered them.
That sounds like the power of quality over quantity.
Exactly. And sometimes the quietest person suddenly says something that makes the whole room laugh.
Personality also changes slightly over time, because our experiences, jobs, friendships, and challenges help shape who we become.
Yes, when I was younger, I was much more shy about speaking in front of groups. But with practice and experience, I slowly became more confident.
Encouraging. That is a great example, because confidence is something that many people develop step by step.
And making small mistakes along the way is completely normal.
Yes, because if we waited until we were perfect before speaking, we would probably stay silent forever.
That would be a very quiet podcast.
The shortest podcast in history.
So for our listeners, a great way to practice English today is to describe your personality using a few simple sentences, and maybe even include a funny habit that makes you unique.
For example, you could say something like, I am a friendly and curious person, but sometimes I ask too many questions. Or, I am a calm person, but I laugh very loudly when something is funny. Loud laughter is a wonderful personality trait. I agree, because laughter makes conversations warmer and more human. In the next part, we will talk about how personality affects friendships, teamwork, and the kinds of people we enjoy spending time with. And we might also share some funny stories about personality differences between friends.
Those stories can be very entertaining.
Brian, we talked about personality traits and habits before,
but I think one of the funniest things about personality is how different people behave in the same situation.
That is so true, because two people can experience the exact same event and react in completely opposite ways.
Yes. For example, if a meeting gets canceled, one person might say, "Great, I can relax now," while another person immediately starts looking for something productive to do.
And then there is the third type of person who says, "Great, now I can finally eat the snack I was secretly saving."
That sounds like a very honest personality type.
I like to call it the snack-positive personality.
That sounds like you are describing yourself.
I will neither confirm nor deny that information.
Personality also appears when people travel together, because that is when you really see how different people are.
Oh yes, traveling with friends is like a personality experiment.
Curious, what do you mean?
Well, there's always the planner friend who makes a detailed schedule for the whole day. And then there's the relaxed friend who says, "Let's just walk around and see what happens."
I think many groups have both of those personalities.
And sometimes those two friends look at each other with complete confusion.
The planner is thinking, "Why are we walking without a plan?" While the relaxed friend is thinking, "Why are we planning our walking?"
Exactly. It becomes a philosophical debate about how to enjoy life.
But somehow those different personalities often balance each other.
Yes, because the planner makes sure you don't miss important places, and the relaxed friend reminds everyone to enjoy the moment.
Curious. Another funny personality difference appears when people are watching movies together.
Oh yes, the movie commentator.
The person who talks during the entire movie.
Oh, I think that character is the villain. Oh wait, maybe not. Actually, yes, definitely the villain.
And the rest of the group is just trying to watch the story.
I once watched a mystery movie with a friend who guessed the ending in the first 10 minutes.
Seriously?
Yes, and then he spent the rest of the movie explaining why he was probably correct.
That sounds less like watching a movie and more like attending a lecture.
Exactly, a very confident lecture.
Playful curiosity. Brian, what personality type do you think you are when watching movies?
I think I am the quiet observer, but in my mind I am making a lot of comments.
So inside your head, there is a very active movie critic.
Yes, but thankfully the critic stays inside my brain.
That is very considerate of you.
You know, personality differences can sometimes cause small misunderstandings, but they also make friendships more interesting.
That is true, because if everyone had exactly the same personality, conversations would become very boring.
Imagine two extremely shy people meeting for the first time.
That conversation might take 3 hours to start.
Hello.
Hello.
And then 30 seconds of silence.
That sounds like the slowest conversation in history.
But sometimes those quiet conversations become great friendships.
That is a nice reminder that every personality has its strengths, whether someone is energetic, calm, funny, thoughtful, or creative.
And the world becomes much more interesting when different personalities share ideas, stories, and laughter together.
Cheerful. Let's talk about how personality influences friendships and how people with very different personalities can still become great friends.
And we might also reveal some funny personality habits that our friends always tease us about.
I am slightly nervous about that part.
Me too, but it will definitely be entertaining.
Brian, we talked about personality differences, and now I think we should talk about something interesting, which is how people with completely different personalities can still become very good friends.
That is a great topic, because many friendships are actually built between people who are very different, and those differences often make the friendship more fun and balanced.
Yes. For example, I have a friend who is extremely organized and plans everything very carefully, while I am sometimes more relaxed and spontaneous.
That sounds like a classic friendship combination.
It really is, because when we travel together, she prepares a full schedule with times, locations, and backup plans, while I am just happy to walk around and explore.
So basically, she is the travel manager and you are the travel explorer.
Exactly. And sometimes she looks at me and says, "Jessica, we have a plan." And I look at her and say, "Yes, but adventures don't always follow plans."
That sounds like a friendly debate every time you travel.
It is, but somehow we always end up having a great trip because her planning keeps things organized and my spontaneity brings surprises.
That is actually a perfect example of how different personalities can complement each other.
Do you have any friends with very different personalities from yours?
Yes, one of my closest friends is extremely energetic and talkative, while I am usually a little calmer.
So when you are together, the energy level probably becomes very interesting.
Oh, absolutely. Because he can start a conversation with anyone in any place, even in an elevator.
An elevator conversation is impressive.
Yes, one time we were in an elevator for about 20 seconds, and he somehow managed to talk about the weather, travel, and food before we reached the next floor.
That is a very efficient personality.
Meanwhile, I was standing there thinking, how did this conversation even begin?
Your friend probably thinks silence is a challenge he must solve.
That is actually a very accurate description.
Another funny personality difference appears when people make decisions, because some people decide very quickly, while others need time to think carefully. Yes, I have noticed that when friends are choosing a restaurant. Oh yes, that situation always reveals personality types. One person says, let's just pick the first place we see, while another person opens their phone and begins a 20-minute research project. Reading reviews, checking menus, comparing prices. And after all that research, someone still says, actually, I'm not that hungry. That happens more often than people admit.
But these small differences make daily life more entertaining.
And the truth is that personality is not something fixed forever, because people slowly grow and change through experiences.
Yes, sometimes a shy person becomes more confident, or a very serious person learns to relax and laugh more.
Encouraging. That is why it is important to be patient with ourselves and with others.
Especially with friends who take 20 minutes to choose a restaurant.
Or friends who start conversations with strangers in elevators.
Those personalities definitely make life more interesting.
For our listeners, try thinking about your closest friends and notice how their personalities are different from yours.
Maybe one friend is very funny, another is very calm, and another is very adventurous.
And those differences are often the reason friendships feel balanced and enjoyable.
Because when different personalities come together, conversations become more dynamic and we learn from each other.
And sometimes we also get very funny stories from those differences.
Which we might share in the next part.
Brian, after talking about personality traits, funny habits, and different types of friends, I think it is clear that personality makes life much more interesting and sometimes very funny.
That is absolutely true. Because if everyone had the exact same personality, our conversations would be very predictable and probably quite boring.
Yes, imagine if every person in a group said exactly the same thing at the same time.
Hello, my favorite food is pizza and my hobby is sleeping.
That actually sounds like many people already.
You might be right about that.
But the beautiful thing about personality is that everyone has a different combination of traits, experiences, habits, and perspectives.
Yes, some people are naturally energetic and love being around others, while some people feel happier in calm and quiet environments.
And neither personality is better than the other, because both bring something valuable to the world.
For example, energetic people bring excitement and laughter, while calm people help everyone relax when things become stressful.
That is a very helpful personality balance.
I once had two friends like that, and whenever our group started arguing about something small, the calm friend would quietly say something wise, while the energetic friend would suddenly tell a joke.
That sounds like the perfect conflict solution.
Yes, one friend solved the problem, and the other one made everyone laugh.
Brian, after all these conversations, how would you describe your personality today?
I think I would say I am curious, relaxed, and sometimes a little bit humorous, especially when conversations become too serious.
That sounds accurate, because you definitely enjoy making people laugh.
I believe laughter is a very important part of personality.
I completely agree, because people often remember how someone made them feel more than what they said.
And a friendly personality can make even a simple conversation feel enjoyable and comfortable.
That is a great reminder for our listeners that personality is not only about describing yourself with words, but also about how you treat others.
Kindness, patience, and humor are personality traits that can make a big difference in everyday life.
And sometimes the best personality trait is simply being able to laugh at your own mistakes.
That is very important, because if we cannot laugh at ourselves, life can become too serious.
Exactly, and we all make funny mistakes sometimes.
Especially when we try to act confident but accidentally walk into the wrong room.
That has definitely happened to me before.
It has happened to many people, I am sure.
So, for everyone listening today, we encourage you to think about your personality and the qualities that make you unique.
Try describing yourself in English using a few simple sentences, and don't be afraid to include both your strengths and your funny habits.
Because those little habits and differences are often what make people interesting and memorable.
Warm closing tone. Thank you so much for spending time with us today and practicing English through this conversation.
We really appreciate you listening and being part of the Smart English Podcast community.
Keep learning, keep speaking, and keep sharing your personality with the world.
Smiling warmly. We hope this conversation helped you learn new words and also reflect a little about who you are.
Cheerful, we will see you in the next episode.
Friendly and bright. Goodbye, everyone.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more English learning videos. See you in the next episode.